Shares of Novo Nordisk are seeing pressure today as the Danish company plans to slash prices for Wegovy and Ozempic starting in 27, and all in an effort to improve affordability. Well, some have suggested this move is a competitive pricing decision. Our next guest says today's price cut doesn't reflect a price war. Let's get more from Seigerman, Managing Director, Head of Healthcare Research at BMO Capital Markets. Evan, thanks very much for joining us. Rough day for Novo Nordisk. Also, the CagriSema is how you pronounce it. Disappointing results on that.
Yes.
CagriSema, sorry.
That was yesterday.
Disappointing results.
So, a few things to think about here. One, we can talk about CagriSema in a second, but I think what's really important when you look at the announcement today around pricing, they're talking about the list price. And drug pricing in the United States is pretty convoluted. Most people don't pay the list price, or they don't realize the list price. That's kind of a starting point when it comes to negotiations. So what's happening here is by lowering the list price, they're able to reduce deductibles, co-insurances, co-pays that a patient with commercial insurance might have to pay so they can get access. It doesn't change the net price that Novo realizes when they sell, a Wegovy pen, for example. We confirmed that with the company. So we don't think this is a price war. It's a good headline to show that they're thinking about price. It should help out-of-pocket cost for some patients, but it doesn't change, their business model fundamentally in our view.
Just kind of on the side on that, any concerns that insurance companies will kind of absorb some of those reductions, and the people will still end up paying?
TBD, there's a lot that goes into contracting. When a patient has a deductible, for example, say it's a $3,000 deductible before their insurance kicks in, they're paying the list price. So if the list price is $600 versus $1,000, they're only paying $600 to get that prescription. A lot of co-insurance is also a percentage of the list price, say 20, 30%. So if you lower the list price, you lower the co-insurance. So that should help. In terms of kind of the rebates and discounts, that's a different negotiation between Novo and the plans, kind of the payer. I doubt that that's going to change significantly, especially given what the company said about net pricing.
And was Trump a factor in this? He's been pushing to make healthcare more affordable and prescriptions more affordable. Is that playing a role?
Great question. So, explicitly, no. We confirmed this with the company that this wasn't part of the MFN deals that we saw back in November. But more broadly speaking, I think anything as it comes to drug price affordability, especially out-of-pocket costs, right? The administration in the United States talks a lot about the out-of-pocket costs for people with insurance. And if Novo is proactively doing something to fix that, I think that goes along the theme of what the administration is trying to achieve. So while it's not an explicit deal, kind of you need to do this, or we're going to, negotiating to have this done, it is along the lines of what the administration wants.
And is this maybe trying to rebrand a little bit? Because Big Pharma doesn't have the best image. Is this part of it too, you think?
Hard to say. I think kind of the rebranding of Big Pharma is a larger conversation and a more complex topic, right? There's a lot of, kind of thoughts that goes into it, and there's a lot of nuances, especially when you factor in kind of the influence of the PBMs and insurance companies. But I think that a headline like this definitely helps Novo's image, at least kind of on the margin.
And not coming until 27. So why wait till then? Why not come in earlier?
Because I think that it takes a lot of time to actually kind of implement changes just in the broader system. A lot of the contracts for 26 are already set, and it would maybe actually cause more kind of turmoil in terms of affordability and accessibility. And remember, the cash pay prices are really affordable. The Wegovy pill starts at $149 a month, so that's far below any of these new list prices.
And how are they doing in this is such a huge sector and such a huge business, the weight loss and obesity drugs. Are they still holding their own?
So if you go back a few weeks ago around 4Q earnings in 2026 guidance, Lilly had a much more positive outlook. They forecasted a lower net price reduction. In the United States, Novo had a poorer outlook for 2026. So we do see a bit of bifurcation. They're still selling a significant amount of their products, whether it's Wegovy, the Wegovy pill, or Ozempic for diabetes. But I think that it's not the explosive growth that we saw in the past couple of years. The Wegovy pill, though, is doing very well, and script numbers really suggest that it could be tracking to be upwards of $1 billion, potentially $2 billion in sales this year alone.
And then CagriSema, what kind of an impact does that have, the results that we saw?
Great question. So CagriSema was supposed to be their answer to kind of a higher efficacy weight loss product, more akin to Lilly's Zepbound. And, the data disappointed. It was supposed to be shown to be non-inferior. It actually was inferior, so it produced less weight loss than Zepbound did at the same time point, which was 84 weeks. And it really puts a question mark into how Novo is going to compete with Zepbound, Lilly's retatrutide, kind of some higher efficacy products, because Wegovy is a good product, but kind of at its peak, it's about 16% weight loss. CagriSema gets you into the 20s, but some patients need more than that and need a good answer for something if Wegovy is not kind of going to work for them.
And do they have anything else in the pipeline, or are they going back to the drawing board with this?
Yes and yes. So they have other things in the pipeline. They're looking at a higher dose of Wegovy, so a 7.2 milligram that gets potentially better weight loss with just one product. They're looking at something called amycretin, an amylin targeting asset. But when it comes to the drawing board, I think that they may have to potentially acquire, push forward some of their earlier assets that are dual or triple agonists. But they definitely need more than just Wegovy or semaglutide in their portfolio.
Okay, we'll leave it there, Evan, but thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Evan Seigerman is Managing Director, Head of Healthcare Research at BMO Capital Markets.